If you're a big fan of crawfish, you and I need to hang out. But no, seriously, we do have some kind of iffy news for you this morning about crawfish season.
Yeah, experts say that last summer's drought in Louisiana is impacting the crawfish supply. So joining us this morning to share more, maybe some hope, maybe some good news, Chris Shepard, our good friend. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so what's the deal? What's going on?
I mean, come on, man.
It's still up in the air, right?
Okay.
Is it? Okay.
There's not a whole lot being said, but the droughts last year, the intense heat, and when you do that, if you're not a crawfish farm that also produces rice where you're flooding the fields, you're going to have a hard time this year because the drought really pushed the crawfish in deeper, and those, the mud dries, right? When you're over 100 plus degrees for 3 months at a time and no rain, it makes it a little bit tougher for crawfish to live. And so you're going to see it happen, but over the past few years, we've had ideal temperatures, we've had ideal weather. So you have started to see crawfish in December and in January, and we've just gotten used to it. And traditionally, in the past, you were looking at February. February was always like the month you wanted it, but people have that taste for it right now, and they're like, it's coming, I want it. And so suppliers are wanting to give people crawfish. Yeah. It's just not there yet.
So do we have to temper the expectations for the season, or do you predict restaurants will have no trouble ultimately getting as much crawfish
well,
as they
the price
need?
is definitely going to be affected, right?
Okay.
And because over the past few years, which is not a bad thing, right? Because it's going to make it more sustainable for us in the future. Because last few years, crawfish was cheaper, right? And we got it super early. Now, but that doesn't help a farmer out.
Right.
Right? In the end, that doesn't help the farmer to make the, to pay payroll, to do all the things that they have to do. So now the price is going to kind of go back up, and it will give them the benefit of being able to stay in business, which is not a bad thing.
Interesting.
Okay, so help me understand. What about harvesting what's out there right now? There's just not a lot to even pull from?
I mean, the weather, we had the cold snaps and all of that did not help. And so it's just being forced back. People are buying crawfish now, but there's what we would normally produce hundreds of sacks. We're only producing 10% of that right now, right? But here coming up, February, we'll start to see more and more and more and more and more. So, but we just don't know what the season, the extent of it will be, right? Will it go until July? Will it go until June? We're not sure. I mean, when we went out last year in Louisiana, they were beginning of May, they were done because it was starting to get too hot.
Right.
And so something that would normally move into June, July, August, we don't know what that's going to look like, right? We're just pushing back now. Prices are going to probably go up, but it's okay, right? It's part of the system that we have to live in because we want a sustainable farming system, right? Because if these farmers, they didn't have the money to do the irrigation, they're already pushed back. At that point, you have to look at your business model and say, should I continue this, right? And so we need to be able to say, okay, it's going to go up a little bit. We're going to be okay paying that.
It ebbs and it flows, I think, too, depending, as you said, the weather. There's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
One thing I always find interesting, and I guess probably the same thing goes with shrimp, we think of it, especially here, as a season for the locals that go out and get whatever it is, and the crawfish when they're ready.
Yep.
But we get this stuff all year long now. So we're getting crawfish from other places. We're getting this food that used to come out of our backyard, but it's now in some cases coming from all over.
Yeah, for the most part, if you can produce rice, that is the byproduct of crawfish production, right? Because you're going to have a rice field here and a crawfish field here. One is going to be producing rice, and when that clears out, when you harvest the rice, you start to fill that back up. The crawfish venture over into that part of the water, and they clean out all the proteins from the rice, and they literally clean that field out. And so then they can start the harvest of rice and then in the other one. So it's a symbiotic relationship that rotates, right? And so places like Oregon, California, Arkansas is a big rice producing thing, but they don't really do the crawfish. But we're starting to see it come from the West Coast just here and there. But again, the mortality rate of the crawfish is lower, right? Because they're softer, they're smaller. Right now, that's what we're looking at. We're seeing small crawfish that are very soft. We're not getting into the big ones. That's just going to come with time, right? And that's just age. But at this point in time, what I would suggest is that we all have that flavor. We all want that taste. And all of these businesses that really, that makes their year is the crawfish season, go support them now. Because they have shrimp, they have crabs, they have the king crabs, they have the snow crabs, they have the blue crabs, they have Dungeness crabs, they have everything about the boil is there, right? We're just not
It's just the
quite there.
crawfish are a little smaller.
We're just not there yet. But these restaurants are really they're gonna pay the price too. It's gonna be a tough season because most of these restaurants supply, like they are crawfish season. That's where they make their
where it
money,
is, right.
Right, and then the rest of the season they gotta get by.
Yeah, you hope your lovers and your regulars come by to see you because everybody else stops in for crawfish.
If you got that flavor and that taste and that I need it, that's year round.
Yeah.
There's so many restaurants that do that year round and support that.
Right.
No, that's huge. Definitely support local. Okay, Chris, how's it going? How's the show?
Going great.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Good.
And I think what having the ability to go film at restaurants and see the direct impact on the restaurants afterwards is very beneficial for me.
Well, this weekend, BB's is one of
BB's,
the restaurants on the show. There's a crawfish spot.
Yeah,
There's
and you know,
Gulf Coast seafood.
They have one of the largest boil selections that you can have. I mean, you can add everything. There's 4 different types of sausage, a bunch of vegetables, whatever types of crabs you want. And so we get that crawfish, that's where you want to go. So yeah, this weekend is BB's and Monument Inn.
Nice.
So 2 places that I truly love.
I do love a shrimp po' boy from BB's. It's one of my
good.
favorite things on the planet.
Really good.
But
Yeah.
okay. But you've really enjoyed this. I mean, it's not like the show has. Maybe you've met some new people, but you're learning new things.
I get to
What
learn
about Eat Like a Local's really been?
You know, it's the stories, right?
Yeah.
And it's not always about putting a table full of food down. It's about learning people's history and their past and why they're doing these things and why they chose to make Houston their home, or to decide to, Houston is my home, I'm going to open a restaurant. Why? Right? And so it's answering those questions and seeing people's passion of why they do what they do to make our city so great.
And it's like the food is a language in itself.
Oh,
it's a universal language.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And so to see what they're doing, to see their passion and pride on every plate. And like, you know, we filmed at China Garden to see how like we should eat an egg roll. You know, cut it hot dog, don't eat it hamburger. Like, put the sauce inside. I was like, wait, what?
I've been doing this wrong this whole time.
I'm 51 and I didn't know this until now. So it really is one of those things. Like I get to learn so much,
Yes.
and hopefully the guest, the viewer gets to see that too.
Yeah, if you don't get to catch it live, you can always DVR. Eat Like a Local with host Chef Chris Shepard, Saturday mornings at 10. I was lucky enough to do an episode with you last fall. I think Sophia's up next.
I should be next.
We got to get you
Let's
out
go.
there.
You gotta tell me where you want to go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Just wherever.
All right.
Some eating, some learning,
good
and
eating
some
and
more
learning.
eating.
It's fun. I mean, we learned about tacos and
That's right.
trompos and the whole
I
nine.
love the thing about me is that I love all the food.
Yeah.
I will, right?
Yep.
Right? I will eat anything,
That's
everything.
great. I mean,
All
that's
the
how we
food.
should be, right?
Yeah, open-minded, go get it.
Yep. Try everything once.
Always good to see you, Chef.
Oh,
Good to
so
see you.
fun.
And now we're ready for crawfish season.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so hungry.
But if not, go get those crabs and shrimp right now.
Support your local
Definitely.
restaurants, for sure.